Okay, wonderful. Thank you. We're going to get started. I know some of you look like you're grabbing some lunch, and other people are going to be trickling in, but let's get started because I know we have an hour. I want to let you know that this session is being recorded and may be used for marketing and promotion purposes by Alltech. So to begin, I'm going to introduce myself. My name is Catherine Dyer, and I'm really pleased to be working with Alltech. And we are creating a webinar series. And this is our first webinar called Empowering Teams with SharePoint. And I'm personally very interested in SharePoint because it's an inexpensive solution that requires no programming. So it's really good for folks like me who work in the sector but don't necessarily know a lot about tech. So we're here today to talk about SharePoint because it's excellent at managing document libraries and announcements and discussion boards and being a really great intranet. And we're here with Alltech's founder and CEO, Jeff Ahl. And Alltech is here to remove your IT burden and share industry best practices. And so what Jeff and I are really hoping for with this webinar series is to provide some best practice tips on some of the tools that you already have access to maximize your potential, answer your questions to make sure that you're getting your needs met. So these webinars are good for managers, they're good for staff, they are open to the public. And so if you did want to invite someone to the next one, please do. We intend to have this as a monthly series, and you'll hear more about what next month's webinar is going to be. Jeff is going to say a little bit about that. So that's going to be really exciting. And of course, because it's a new way to engage clients at Alltech, we're really interested in feedback. So following this webinar, we're going to be reaching out to you and asking you for some ideas about content and perhaps some feedback about length and timing and such like that. So before I introduce Jeff and turn it over to him to tell you all about SharePoint and answer all your questions about SharePoint, I just want to tell you a little bit about how you can engage during this webinar. So we want you to ask questions. We want you to ask tons of questions. Ask questions anytime, but we want you to ask questions in the chat box. I'll moderate those questions, and Jeff's going to take those questions at the end. So but as things are popping up for you, just make a note, send it in the chat box, and we'll be certain to get to it. Of course, if we can't get to all the questions, Jeff will reach back out to you following the webinar. So please use the chat box. Let's make this webinar as interactive and relevant for you as possible. So let me tell you a little bit about Jeff. Some of you know him. I hope all of you know him. He's been helping teams implement IT solutions since 2009. Alltech translates business needs into technical solutions. And as CEO, Jeff acts as a consultant, a developer, a requirements analyst, and a project lead. He prides himself on being personable, and that's really true. And he's friendly while he's removing the IT burden on organizations. He's also, outside of work, he's an accomplished singer and guitar player. He plays 60s rock and folk and some modern-ish music in local venues across Southern Ontario. And he's a graduate of Mohawk College as an information systems technician. So we really are delighted to hear from Jeff, and who's going to answer all of our questions around SharePoint. So over to you, Jeff.
Wow, thank you, Catherine. That's glowing. Thank you so much. Just trying to get myself to be spotlighting so everyone can see me properly. Thank you, everyone, for showing up. This is our first event, and very, very pleased that you're a part of it. I'm just waiting for the presentation to pop up here. So okay, so I can try to jump right in. Let's get talking about SharePoint, the whole reason why you're here. Just check and make sure no one's trying to sign in just yet. So SharePoint, what is it? Well, one thing it can do really well is collaboration of files. You can easily share files and folders with a single person, an entire team, or even your clients. And I know what you're thinking. we already have OneDrive, and that kind of does a pretty good job for us. While that's true, the big disadvantage that shows up is when someone leaves the organization. See, now IT and staff have to kind of jump through hoops trying to move the files that were created in someone's OneDrive account into someone else's OneDrive account. We have to recreate all the sharing. We often have to Can you hear me now? Okay, I don't know what just happened there. My internet just died or something. Well, let me go back to what I was doing. Bum, 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 ba-dum. Really apologize for that. Okay, so so when someone leaves the organization, right, there's all the headaches that have to go with that. Or worst case, we leave the account active, and that just consumes a license fee. And oh my goodness, that just consumes a license unnecessarily. So continuing along, I'm really sorry about that. So that's OneDrive. So, but what SharePoint also allows you to do is collaborate with your team. So I know what you're thinking now. It's like, well, we have Teams that allows us to do that. And you're right. Teams does have file sharing, and it does allow you to communicate with your team. But that's really just at the chat or the video or the conferencing level. So SharePoint can do so much more. OneDrive and Teams are pretty good wrappers that only show certain segments of SharePoint. So SharePoint not only does these jobs, but it also goes a whole step further and adds a complete interface to give you a portal or a kind of a website into your organization or your department. So let's give you a few examples. So some typical use cases. For this would be like document management. So you can think of this like a OneDrive folder that the entire department can access. Workflow automation. So what you can do now is you can set up email alerts when somebody updates a spreadsheet or somebody adds a new file to a folder. So you could use that for like a workflow, document workflow, or an approval process. Almost anything is possible there. Collaboration. So as you've seen with OneDrive already, real-time edits in Microsoft software allow you to collaborate either in a live conversation or offline. So for example, if I'm in Excel and you're also working in the exact same Excel document, I can see which cell you're working on. It's highlighted and your little picture or initials icon is there. And vice versa, you can see where I am editing. And we can both be editing the same document in real time and know what the other person is doing, or we can actually be communicating in a live chat. You can use project management. So in SharePoint, there's calendars, spreadsheets, graphs, and much more, so that everything is needed to manage one or more projects right from one seamless portal. You can use the Microsoft Project add-on if you're looking more for Gantt charts, or there's the Microsoft Planner app, which you can think of more like a tile board, or it's called Kanban board, Kanban. And basically you have different columns, the status maybe, okay, this is in progress, this is waiting for something, and you just take your sticky note and you move it as if it was a whiteboard, and you move your sticky notes. Same concept, but it's all done through software and everyone can see it. So there's a powerful search. So every word in every document on every page is indexed and it's searchable, and is quite fast to search. It's very powerful. And if it's still not enough, there's a massive library of add-ons or extra tools that can be leveraged. So for example, if you wanted to send SMS messages, you can use the Twilio plugin. If you wanted to have an email campaign, you can use MailChimp plugin. If you can think it, there's already a plugin that is out there that can do whatever it is that you're trying to do. Lots and lots of tools. So where do we begin? Well, we begin with sites. Sites are just a window into a department or a company that can be simple file folders or complex portals. Basically, you have a little web page or dashboard. On every page, you add components or widgets that provide content or links to other pages within the portal. So some examples. Now I'm just going to quickly share my screen, but basically you can make a departmental portal or a company-wide portal. You can have large project planning, small project planning, or simple file sharing. So I'm just going to try to share my screen right now. So this is just a quick HR portal. I just used the default template to build this. I had this was created in seconds, literally just a couple of minutes. None of these links actually go anywhere. That requires some actually development. You just got to add a page. Up in here, you just add a new page, and then just link it to the page later on. But right now, it doesn't do anything. But what you could do here, you can see on this tab off to the side, you can have important links to privacy policies and procedures for your staff. Here the example is how to hire the right person for your team, right? So the HR department could have like tips and tricks on how to conduct interviews so that you can find the right candidates. I just quickly created an employee satisfaction poll that you could, push this out to all your staff just to get a sense of, how satisfied is your team? Are they happy with the workload? Do they value, does management value my opinions? Whatever kind of questions you can think of. What kind of stuff do we need in the break room? Well, we need more free snacks, of course. Once you hit submit, that gets added to a spreadsheet where somebody can later then tabulate the results. An email can be sent off to somebody to let them know that someone has answered the survey. And surveys can be all private, so you don't necessarily know who answered the survey, or you could turn it on so that you do know who it was. And that's just one example. And again, your imagination is kind of the limit there. Another popular use for this is project management. So in this example, again created with one of the templates in just a matter of seconds. This is an ERP system upgrade. So this would be a large project that probably would span the course of years for most organization. You're going to retire your corporate-wide or ERP system, and this isn't something you just do overnight. So you can see over on the side here, we've got a countdown clock. This particular go live date is in 22 days, but there is lots of information you can add here. So project milestones, what are the goals that are starting to happen, what's everybody working on, file portal. So again, this is kind of what we're talking about a little bit earlier, just a quick window down in this section about what files there are, but we could click on the side here, and I'm going to go into the file area, the document section here, and you can see at a glance what's going on. And you might have some finance information or maybe some departmental information, because on a project of this scale, there's often many departments need to collaborate and work together. And so, a portal like this just gives everyone one place where they can all look, and information's all right there. Again, you can set up alerts, email alerts, so that when somebody updates something, you can receive an email, or maybe a group, a team. You can, in Teams you can make groups. Similarly here, you make groups. You can then everyone can get an alert. You could do this for multiple projects as well, not just a single project. So if you don't have a large project like this, you could break it out. You could have all your projects in one SharePoint site that your project management team can see them all in one spot. So then another good example is really just file sharing. Quite often we're trying to get away from the traditional file servers that are in someone's closet somewhere. The main reason for that is to just put it all into the cloud so that now you can work from home, you can have remote offices. It's really easy to back up, and you don't have costly servers to operate, maintain, upgrade every 5 years or so. It's very expensive. This is a fraction of that cost. So this example here is literally just a file server. This first page, it's not very useful. So I kind of ignore it. We could edit the page right here and just say, you know what, we don't need this news thing. We're never gonna use it. So we could take it away once it stops kind of freaking out over there. We could take that away and we just delete things. Click this thing and remove it. And then we're done. And we save. Oh, republish here. Boom. Oh, whatever, couldn't do it. No, my internet's not that great, but you can see it's gone. So you could clean this page up any way you want, add widgets if you want them. But in this case, this company, XYZ Corporation, they don't want that. What they really want is the documents. And primarily, they probably don't even want to be coming to this portal. They probably just want to be going to their own OneDrive account. And you can do that really easy up here with this add shortcut to OneDrive. You can do that with any folder. So if I happen to go into this employee onboarding folder, again, with this ellipse, I can add it to my OneDrive folder. So on my personal computer, I have my OneDrive linked, and I can see this folder just pops up as a shortcut. And I can edit the documents right then and there. I don't have to come to this portal if I don't want to. But the portal is important because it's centralized and it's not linked to one individual user, like I said before. If someone leaves your organization, there's still the information is still here, not linked to that person. So in this example, we're going to onboard this is employee onboarding. So Jeff's going to be become a new employee for the XYZ Corporation. So we have a status. He's hired, but hasn't started yet. He has a start date, and we can zoom this across a little bit, and we can see his salary is $10 an hour. He probably needs to make more than that, but we won't go there. If we had more employees in this, we could quickly change this to the edit grid vote mode. And now I can change these statuses. I can just say he's terminated now, and we can do whatever we need to do. We can exit, and that's now saved. These columns are all customizable. You can add any column you want by just moving over here. Whatever you want. You want a choice, which is like with the statuses over here. You can have any colors you want, any words you want, give it any name you want. So it doesn't have to be status. It could be, I can't imagine what it could be, but whatever you can think of. A simple yes, no column, have they completed their Ontario Disabilities Awareness Training? Yes, no. Really simple. And then, of course, once you have all these columns in here, you can filter on them and, hide columns that you don't want to see. You can sort them by just clicking the column heading, sort them up or down. It's, the sky is the limit as far as what you can add and how you can organize it. So that's the examples that I have. I'm just going to go back to my presentation, and hopefully this works, and we'll see. Great. Okay. So Kath, you can see that okay? Okay, great. Thank you. So as you can see, there's a lot you can do. Go here. there's a lot that you can do. So really, what's next? Well, the first thing you want to do is, talk it over with your team, your manager, your supervisor, and just kind of come up with what's important for you or your organization or your department. Like what's the main question or questions that keep getting asked? It might be good to put up a portal so that you just have a quick spot for your employees to look for important information, and then they can stop, sending the same email over and over again. But you'll come up with ideas, try to figure out what it is how you can leverage this tool. And then, so the next thing is to start planning. So put your ideas to paper and really try to come up with, how is it going to look? What's it going to do? What tools do we need to incorporate, not incorporate? Really experiment, really be creative. The costs, well, practically there are none. This tool is included with every Microsoft 365 subscription, so you already have this. You don't need to spend any extra money unless you want to incorporate some plugins. The plugins are typically free, but if you're like, for example, using MailChimp, you're already paying for the MailChimp subscription. That's a completely different thing, but you don't need those tools. So getting help. So then the next step, if you find you want to bounce some ideas around, you just need someone to talk to, we're here to help. If you need some skilled labor to actually put it all together or to maybe help come up with the ideas, we're here for that as well. You can reach out to us at any time. You all have my email address. You have our support email address. All of our technicians, if they don't know the answer, there's someone that they can reach out to within our organization that can get the answer. So you can email support at, you can email Jeff at, or any one of the technicians directly, and we're here to help and we can answer your questions. I think that is everything. Catherine, how are things going? Have you got anything?
Yeah, thanks so much, Jeff. So just a reminder for those of you who are in the meeting, please use the chat box to ask your questions. I hope you will. I know I have some questions actually that have come in. I know you explained at the beginning, Jeff, about the difference between SharePoint and OneDrive. I'm more familiar with OneDrive. I use it all the time, but could you just go over that again, what the difference is?
Yeah. So yeah, really quickly. So OneDrive is actually built using SharePoint components, actually, and so is Teams. So under the hood, they're pretty much the same thing. They're just toned down versions. So OneDrive is really excellent at sharing files, but we mostly think about it as your own personal work files. So things that you're working on would go in your documents folder or on your desktop. We like to set it up so that all of those folders get synchronized to your personal OneDrive account, and that way we can easily back up your computer. That's how we work with that. You can still share an individual file or an individual folder with your clients or with your team members, just like you can with SharePoint. But we try to discourage you setting up like a workflow in there because, like I said earlier, if for whatever reason you have to leave the organization, it just becomes very difficult to move that workflow out and put it into someone else's thing. So that's why we encourage SharePoint.
Okay. That's really helpful. It seems like one of the challenges with SharePoint can be in designing it, because it sounds like the sky's the limit in terms of what are the widgets that you put on, what are the features. And it sounds like that planning process is really critical. So can you talk a little bit about permissions and how you would recommend setting up a group to make these decisions? Is it that you could have a group of people that all have editing permission, or is it one administrator? Could you just talk a little bit about that kind of decision-making process?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me quickly share my screen here. This is the XYZ Corporations. This is just the simple document folder portal. But if you go up into the top corner, I'll use my mouse so you can maybe see. I don't know if you can actually see can you see my mouse?
Yeah.
Okay, great. If you go up into this corner where it says 3 members, you can see that I'm the owner. Dakota is a member, and well, the backup user, that's how we get our backups, is a user. So I can add multiple members to this site, this particular site, just by sitting here typing their name. So I'll add Kajish. And I can choose the type of role that he is. Is he a member or is he an owner? So members have read access and write access to the folders and stuff inside them, but they can't modify the portal itself. So if we go back to the home page of this portal, right, If we wanted to edit this portal and add a component, like add a calendar widget, say, owners can do that, members cannot.
Okay.
Yeah. So that kind of actually brings up an interesting point. So you sort of mentioned about getting kind of the creation, and the sky's the limit. It can feel overwhelming. I'm just going to take a moment to talk about that. But if I click on the home, you can see I have quite a few portals here. I can go up here and create a site. And they have this really great wizard that will kind of guide you through the process. So in your first steps of like kind of experimenting, thought experiment of, what is it you think you want? You already know, do you want a team site, or maybe just want a corporation site, a communication site where, that's for a portal for staff to look at to get updates about the company or a department or that kind of a thing, or maybe for your clients as well, to make it private or keep it public. It's private by default. But as you click into one of these things, you give it some kind of a name and maybe a description. And then I'm not going to worry about adding members at this stage. And it's going to go through. It didn't really do what I wanted, but you can really, browse templates. There we go. So you can browse the templates now and give you ideas as to how to make it look and what to do. By all means, this probably isn't an exhaustive list by any stretch, but there's lots of opportunities there. I'm sure you could look on the internet for great ideas too. We're a great resource as well. If you've got just a small idea of what you think you want and you don't know where to go, again, just engage us. We're happy just to bounce ideas around. And if you want to do more in depth, we're happy to start a project with you also.
That's great. It's really great that there's help in building, these internet portals, these sites. Another question that is coming is around how do we get our teams and our staff to use these sites? Best laid plans, right? So how do we? Is there a lot? Are they fairly intuitive in terms of usage, or how would you recommend, once we've got it built, how to make the most use out of it?
Yeah, so it's really pretty easy. So I'm going to quickly share my screen again. I should have just left it on. I'm sorry. But if you go to portal.office.com, I'm not going to get it right because I'm portal.office.com, right? Portal.office.com. If you go there, you're probably already familiar with the you've got Outlook, you've got Word, Excel, etc. But you've got these tools over here. You got your OneDrive and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But down somewhere in here, I just can't see it because I'm looking for it, is SharePoint. You can see all your stuff right there. So you can get it from SharePoint really easily that way. Once you're there, you can click on any one of these favorite sites. Of course, you can always get this URL and create a shortcut on your browser. You can also subscribe so it ends up being in your Teams channels, right? You have a separate channel for this. You can add it into your Teams area, so it's quite easily at your fingertips. You can put a link to this if you make it. Well, even if you make it private or public, you can put a link to this on your corporate website, so that if it's private, your staff clicks on it and then they get asked for credentials. But if it's public, someone clicks on it and boom, they're right there.
Wow. It sounds like there's just so much functionality to this.
Yes, Microsoft has done a really good job at making this easy to use, and it's baked into pretty much everything.
That's really wonderful. And you're also saying that all of your clients already have access to it, and so
everybody has it.
And so it's just a matter of using it to the fullest potential. And that wizard tool looks really very useful.
It's very easy
if you're a non-techie like me. And so I I don't see any other questions coming in the chat box. One of my last questions for you, Jeff, is around security. It's always as we put, we're looking at this HR portal, and obviously a lot of HR information can be confidential or whatnot. Can you talk about security with these intranet sites?
Yeah, so specifically the HR portal, you want to make sure you don't put sensitive information on something that is public to the world and or public to your internal staff. So if they shouldn't know it, you shouldn't put it in that particular portal. For example, salaries shouldn't go in there, that sort of thing. The only information you want to put in like this HR portal, for example, would really be things that you want all of your staff to know. So forms, policies, procedures. The survey, for example, that I did, the questions are everyone can see, but the answers they cannot. When you add members to the portal, so again, I've got this shared. So when you add members to the portal, this particular one is kind of, I'm gonna use this other one because it's a little bit easier to see. When you add members to the portal, because this is a private group, only the members can see it. If you don't have access to the site and you've entered this URL up in this top bar, you're going to get presented for credentials, and if you put in credentials that work but still don't have access, you're going to get an error screen saying you don't have access. Would you like to request access? Here's a link. And then the email goes off to the owners and says, oh, Martha would like access to your XYZ portal, allow or not allow. And it's very easy, very easy.
Okay, that sounds, yeah, thanks for that. That's really very reassuring.
You're welcome.
I'm curious, how would we know what the uptake is? So say we build a site and we push it out to our team saying, here's where to go to get all of the information about this project that we're managing. Is there a way to see how many clicks people are people actually using it or going to it? Is there any way to evaluate, the SharePoint site?
That's a very good question, and I don't know the answer offhand. I believe that there's no statistics gathering in that regard, right. To know if someone's clicking. But you're like, for example, if you're using the project management page, you're kind of going to know because your alerts are driven. You're going to see the engagement as you're working on that project. You're going to see if anyone is. You're just going to know because your team is either using it or they're not, because they're using email to send files around when that's no longer necessary, right? And then so you just got to keep directing them back to the portal. The way I enforce the engagement is when we have our team meetings. I share my screen, I bring up the portal, and we're actively working within the portal.
Right, because it's designed to help people collaborate better. It's designed for teams. And so, right. So people can, you can drive, I like that you can drive engagement in that way, and the habit of sharing files by email, can be curbed by just encouraging people to use this site and using it,
Uh-oh. Oh, it looks like we've lost Catherine. I hope that you haven't lost me as well. Give her a few seconds to try to come back. And I'll check the chat just to make sure see if anyone has any questions. And I don't see anything. Here she comes now. Hello again.
Sorry about that.
That's okay.
My internet just crashed.
No problem.
Yes, so that answers that question about how to get people using it, because of course that's what we want.
Yep.
And so I guess in to sort of summarize, Jeff, if you can just summarize into 3 key points about, SharePoint, what would you say to, to encourage people to start using this tool?
Yeah, so I think the answer, three key points. I mean, the big one that's coming to mind is the ease of backup, the ease of creation, and the ease of collaboration. Well, that sounds like 3 things, but it's really, really simple to use, easy to create, and it's actually going to empower your team to just do more with less. It's going to give you a simple, easy place where you can keep track of all the documents or keep track of all the things that you're trying to keep track of, and allow your team to, at a glance, just know what's going on. You can have weekly meetings, but you don't need to anymore because it's all right there for everyone to see.
Wonderful.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah, it answers my question for sure. Are there other questions from the folks in the audience? Well, of course, you all know how to get in touch with Jeff. So if questions do arise as you begin to experiment with this, please do reach out. It's wonderful that Alltech is available to help people build their sites. And if you need more information about that, please do reach out. So we're gonna close this webinar, our very first webinar, thanking you for participating, for your attention. Thank you, Jeff, so much for preparing these slides and this training for people. It's another way that Alltech can help. I do want to say that our next webinar is going to be May 26th at noon, where we're going to be talking about Copilot. Jeff, do you want to share a little bit about what that webinar is going to be? I know you said something in the beginning, but just to reiterate what's coming up next month.
Yeah. Before I do that, I just want to say thank you to everyone for attending and making this first event a success. We hope you've learned something and you're now inspired to go and create. I want to give a special thank you to Catherine for her time and dedication. Pulling this together wasn't easy, and your hard work has been invaluable. Thank you so much. Watch your emails for a quick survey to help us learn. Please be honest. We can't improve otherwise. And again, reach out to us via email anytime if you need anything in any way. Your success is our success. Next month, we're going to be talking about Copilot. That is Microsoft's artificial intelligence baked into the Office tools, and how it's going to allow your teams to do even more with even less. I look forward to seeing you all again there. And yeah, I think you got some time to go in and finish your lunch and enjoy the rest of your lunch break. Thank you again so much. Really appreciate it.
Thanks, everyone. Bye for now.